Luang Por says he's very, very happy that you have a son who's been able to offer his life to what we call the Dhamma, the Vinaya, the Buddhist teachings, and this gives him the chance or the situation with which he can study and develop himself with regard what we call mental health, or with regard mental wellness. And one aspect of being a Buddhist monk is that you constantly reflect on those people who have been of great help to you before. That's always the mother and father. So part of our lives is always very much bound up with that knowledge of the debt of gratitude we have to our parents, and our development of spiritual qualities is our way of paying back that debt. We always consider that our parents are of great spiritual worth in our lives, and this is our expression. The development of that is the expression of honouring that and paying that back.
Thank you. That means a lot to me. My son is extremely precious to me, and growing up was difficult for him in our household. But I think it's a true miracle that he found the Buddha Dhamma, and it has just changed his life, and it has brought the two of us so much closer. We both entered into Buddhism almost at the same time, so we had parallel experiences, and both starting with the Tibetan tradition, but ending up with the Thai forest tradition and loving it because it's just so simple and pure. It's just the tradition of the elders and of the Buddhist teachings without all of the noise and the trappings and the decoration and everything else that seem to get in the way, really, of the teachings. So, I'm just overjoyed that he is where he is in his life right now, not just physically in Thailand, but just what he has, how he has developed as a person since being ordained in this tradition. It's been wonderful.
Actually, it's of the nature of people that if we go to different places and we experience different things, then we naturally learn and grow. We all need growth and development in life, particularly in terms of spiritual values. So when we see different things and study and practice, then in time we learn to understand and develop those things which are of value. We understand the meaning of a life of value and benefit. And we're all the same, actually. People, when we really do see something which is of true worth, which is of what we call essence, the heartwood, something which is truly important in life, then we value it, we like it. So the Buddhist teachings are very broad in that we teach not to harm and to have what's called namjai, means like water of the heart, so people's hearts flow out to one another. And this is a quality of the human state, human beings. And the word we use is manussa, and this means a human being, but it means one of a high mind, a being with a high mind. And so when we understand this, then it gives us the encouragement to take on the task of improving ourselves, working on ourselves, so that we realize the highest ideals and principles that humans can aspire to. And doing this then in our life, we become loved and respected by everybody, and receive the metta, the loving kindness, and our lives will be of benefits to oneself and others, living a life of true human goodness. And so the Buddha praised anyone that seeks to develop themselves to the highest potential that this human life affords us. Ways of describing this are peaceful, bright and pure. And anybody whose life is peaceful, bright, radiant and pure, this is somebody we say has truly developed spiritual qualities. And so anybody who's helped somebody on their way, on their spiritual journey, also receives great benefits. In the Buddhist time, we have an example. There was a monk called Sariputta who became the Buddha's chief disciple. And he came to the Dhamma by approaching another monk on Bindabat, a monk called Asaji, and asked him to give him a teaching. And Asaji gave him a short teaching and helped him attain the stage of enlightenment. And from that point onwards, Sariputta always paid back the debt of gratitude. In this case, he always slept with his head pointing towards Asaji as his like somebody who had given him a great boost on the way. And so when someone like your son is training in these spiritual qualities, living the holy life, then it's his way of paying this back to you, the person who gave birth and everything else to him along the way. And so this is his way. This is the highest Dhamma we can seek for, and we're free to do it. No one's forcing us to do it. It's something we're free to do, to seek and give great importance to this aspect of developing ourselves inwardly. And as a result, this is what we call attaining to the noble state, or a state of an enlightened one. And so anyone, such as a mother who has a son devoting himself to this, will derive great benefits. In the first place, you're not worried anymore, because you know what a safe environment a person's in, and in time you develop a sense of wholesome pride and seeing the true human goodness and qualities, your son living a life of true worth. So now your son is living in amongst what we call kalyana mittas. This means spiritual friends, or in a society of wholesome friendship where there's much warmth and love for one another. It's an environment where we help each other out a lot, and something from which we can all derive a wholesome pride and happiness. So this is a blessing for you as a mother. But now you can also look and study the Dhamma on a deeper level, so that you and yourself in your own life don't experience disappointments and suffering, because this human state which you have, gives us this unique opportunity to develop mental health, to improve our mental wellness and well-being. It's like you could compare it to developing a strong inner immune system, so the mind doesn't fall into unwholesome states or defiled states, negativity. And it's something which we have to study, and it's not for other experts to study. It's something which we, each of us, have a duty to study and develop in ourselves. And it's not some really difficult training where we have to get completely exhausted and it's an impossible task. It's just about adapting and improving our views, or bringing our views in line with the law of nature, so that a feeling of coolness and our mind has a sense of being in the shade or protected arises within us. And so really we see that we have to understand that all good things that we can aspire to, or the highest states of mind that we want to develop, they lie right here within us. Just like in the earth, all the valuables that we could possibly find in the earth, diamonds, gems and gold, all of these things are right here in the earth, not anywhere else. So the things which are of value as a human being are in your own mind, by developing what we call right views. And in order to train and develop right view, we need samadhi, sort of concentration or firmness of mind, and patient endurance, the patience not to just follow your own moods and opinions and thoughts. Because at first our minds are like, our minds are polluted and defiled, a bit like water. When water has dye or colouring put in it, then that pollutes the purity of the water. So we have to train and to purify and study with regard to the mind, whether you're alone or like here with other people. Keep observing the mind, keep seeing the mind, and more we understand, the more we see that even when there are disappointments in life or difficulties in life, then it's these very disappointments that give rise to hope, because you can learn from them and improve on them. So this is how we adapt our views or improve our views and develop what's called right view. this state of mind which we call peace, peaceful and cool, is something which is of benefit for everyone. Just like food, rice and other crops, these are a benefit for all animals. So now we have a chance, we have this chance to train and develop ourselves. We have to lift up a mirror to look at ourselves. Regarding the external, if we look at ourselves or reflect back on ourselves, we see the body and all external things. But with regard to the internal, reflecting on the internals, we seek, what we have to do is find the various supporting conditions which will support our internal growth. Things like kalyana mitta, or wholesome friendship, true spiritual friends, is very important, and those things which are of value. So we begin to see that those things which are of value lie within us, not elsewhere. The Buddha taught us to seek ourselves, to find ourselves, and by doing so we're seeking and we're able to find what are called the moksha dhammas. This means the liberation dhammas, the dhammas of freedom, where you're no longer bound up, snared. This is freedom, this is coolness of the heart and mind. And we understand this when we understand the nature of the material world is to change, and we just simply see that we're living in line with nature, and as a result we're no longer worried or concerned. We just understand that the nature of the body and mind is just doing its job. So we understand the truth of life, or ultimate truth, the impermanence of life. And when we don't see that, when we don't see impermanence, then this leads to suffering. But when we do see it, and when we can let go, then nothing bothers us anymore. We don't get agitated or wound up by situations. The mind is clean and pure. And when the mind is clean and pure, then happiness arises, what we call sukhato, one who has gone well, or one who is accomplished. So, although you must love your son, don't worry too much about him, because he's young and he's much stronger than you. You're now in what we call, like, you're in the moon's waning phase of life. And Paul says, so am I. And Paul says, me too. So acknowledge that. And so now is the time that you have to train yourself to abandon delight, abandon aversion, all these things which are bound up with attachment. And you can, in time, realize what we call the Arya Dhamma, the noble Dhammas, become part of the noble Sangha, which is a mind, a person who has a pure mind. A peaceful mind, a mind of ease, a mind which is grounded in letting go. This is what we call a sufficiency economy. And just the context is that in the last year, a few years in Thailand, there's been this move towards encouraging a sufficiency economy. The king and many other people speaking this phrase. So Luang Por is using it now with regard to mind. Luang Por is saying that here in America, for example, and around the world, people are very, very worried because the economy is crashing. But to be honest, there's still plenty to go around if we know how to use it. So we shouldn't really worry about the economy. What we should really worry about is living lives, how to live our life, which is of true benefit. What we call titta dhammika, benefit right here and now, or benefit in this very life, the benefit visible here and now, literally. So what this means is that we have to be diligent and put forth effort and use just whatever energy we have or whatever resources we have in just the right way. In Thailand, there's plenty to go around if we know how to use it. There's food for everybody, there's clothing, there's medicine. In one sense, it's a very prosperous country. It depends on whether we use our resources wisely or not. And the mind's the same. The mind, inherently, it's not dangerous, but if we don't know how to use our minds, then the mind can become very dangerous. Or compare it to fire. Fire can be used for something very beneficial, like cooking and lighting, but if we don't know how to use fire, then it can be very dangerous. So, with the mind, if, for example, painful states like anger arise, then we should ask ourselves, we should reflect and ask ourselves, who's getting angry? Why is this anger arising? Is this anger something that people in society approve of? So in time you see it like a disease, something to get rid of. So reflect and review on your own lives, so that you begin to value this process more and more and give more and more importance to Dhamma practice, so that you make yourselves a refuge unto yourself. No one else can do it for you. There's a famous expression of the Buddha's atta hi attano nato kosi nato parosiya, which means self is the refuge of self. Where else could any other refuge be? So train and look at your minds, adapt and improve. Anything that's not good, abandon that, like negativity, things which you don't like. You have to have patient endurance, patiently endure those feelings of discomfort. And so in time you understand your own lives. In a way, there's a Thai expression, the lotus won't get crushed. The lotus won't get crushed and the water won't get stirred up. What this means is that you'll develop yourself in a positive way without too much difficulties to yourself and others. The example Luang Por gives is like a bee, like bees who know how to gather pollen from flowers and take that back and then use that to make honey, but they don't damage the flowers in the process. So Luang Por is saying we have to develop our lives in a way where we're able to do the positive things without harming others. So with satipanya, means mindfulness and wisdom, we learn in time that nothing or no one externally can help us, that ultimately we have to help ourselves.
I just wanted to say that I'm so very grateful to have had the opportunity to pay respects to you, Luang Por. And I'm also very grateful that my son is going to be under your very loving care during the rains at Wat Nong Pah Pong. And I also feel, in regard to what Luang Por had said about my son following this path, it in a sense is a repayment to me for all that I did for him as his mother. But I actually am very grateful to him for what he has taught me since he has become a monk and has gone forth on this path. So I'm very blessed. And thank you for taking all of this time to talk to me, and hopefully everybody else benefited from this very personal, very special time with you. Thank you.
Really good. Really good.
Oh, very good.
And also I want to say thank you for your translating.
Oh, my pleasure.
And it reminds me, and I promise I'll be short, when I used to go to the teachings of the Tibetan elders, the Rinpoches, and most of them spoke in Tibetan, so we would just sit there and wait, just so anxiously and so much anticipation to know what he had said, but just listening to the words, not even knowing what they meant, was an amazing experience, and I found that to be true today, even though I was so excited to know in English what had been said. So it's just very lovely. Thank you very much.
Paul says to live your life with satipanya, mindfulness and wisdom is much better than living your life bound up with unwholesome states of mind. So satipanya is a Dhamma, is a quality which we say is of great benefit, great usefulness. Just like the earth's surface is of great benefit to all beings. Whatever we do, whether we're standing, walking, sitting, lying down, we're using the earth's surface to support us. And so satipanya, mindfulness and wisdom is the same. It leads us, or we have to be circumspect and have a broad and all-round vision in everything we do, so that it allows us to develop these spiritual qualities which are of so much benefit in our lives. If I understand right, Luang Por said that if we live our life just following our moods or with unwholesome states, it's like throwing a needle into the ocean, and you'll never find it. It's like getting lost in the ocean.
นั่นแหละเนาะ
I think that's good enough. Don't have a rest.